coming to you from Strings and Things Studio in Ventura, California. I'm Kaity.
I'm Ann.
I'm Karin.
And this is the Strings Unraveled Book Club. Welcome everybody to February's episode. It's February. It's the month of love, which is why I chose a romance novel for us this month. So today we're talking about a book called Heard It in a Love Song by Tracey Garvis Graves, I believe is the name. I, of course, don't have that in front of me, but in my brain that's her name. I'm pretty sure it is.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So I have a little synopsis here that I found online. It's not, that in depth, but we'll get into it. So Layla Hilding is trying to scrape her life back together. At 35, she's trying to get used to being divorced from Liam, her cheating, financially abusive husband of 10 years. And with the entire process of separation being acrimonious, she just wants a fresh start. Her music career never took off. She gave it up to please Liam and establish a career while keeping him in style, but that's all over. She's working as a music teacher at a local elementary school. Josh walks his kindergarten-age daughter to school every day, which is how he meets her music teacher, Layla. Now a single father to Sasha, Josh's marriage of 20 years to his high school girlfriend, Kimmy, eventually shattered after her high-paying corporate job and his more blue-collar home refurbishment job finally clashed, making them realize they've outgrown each other. Layla and Josh aren't looking for commitment. In fact, they decide to keep things casual. But he's inspiring her to write music again, and she's made him realize just what he's worth. Might they have found true love together? So that is the little synopsis. It's a romance novel, so we know, how it's going to end usually. But
love is in the air.
Yep, exactly. So I guess we'll just get started off the bat with what do you guys think?
Well, I think what I like about this genre is it's a slice of life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I would know nothing about Minneapolis and Minnesotan music scene.
Right,
had
me either.
I not enjoyed this book.
Yep.
It was kind of slow go though,
yeah.
Da 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 da.
Yeah.
I'm because I'm married to a teacher. It felt a lot like
being married to a teacher.
Regular days, parts of it.
Yeah.
But I think overall I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. It things started rolling a little faster near the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more into the zombie apocalypse dystopian genre, but I really enjoyed this, and part of it was because there was the real.
Yeah. Well,
this is such a different take, such a complete opposite. It was such a treat after our last quote-unquote so-called romance.
I don't think it was touted as romance, but she is a romance author, so I would have expected that, but yeah.
Historical fiction, I guess.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that, Karin, bringing up the genre you've been reading a lot of. Because I was thinking, wouldn't it be, fun? Because I was when is something going to happen in the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, pleasant slice of life, but, what's
kind
next?
of slow.
But anyway, I thought, wouldn't it be fun if it turned out that, Josh just seems to be a really nice guy.
Oh, and something terrible happens.
He's just he's keeping women in the basement.
I don't know. He's a dad.
So BTK. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Lots of bad people have paraded as normal functioning people. Mm-hmm. So it's wouldn't that be a fun twist? I bet Karin.
I would have been really upset if that's how it had gone.
I actually would have been upset by that.
For this.
The cover. Wait, the cover is she has flowers over her face.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. One of the most disturbing things I've ever seen in a TV show was I think the second episode of Hannibal, the TV show, where somebody's murdering diabetics and using them to start mushroom farms.
Oh my God.
Ew.
So, that could have been the twist. Is he's planting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to take it further because that is not the genre. But I was thinking, I bet Karin would like it.
Yeah, I don't read books like that for a reason.
No.
I bet Katie would hate it.
I would have hated that.
But just as I was thinking that, not maybe the next time I sat down to listen to it, they go on their. He chaperones her Craigslist purchase.
Oh, yeah.
And sees the room full of knives.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nice guy.
Yeah, then I went down a dark rabbit hole of thought too. Like, so you bought that guitar from him, and you're buying the story, like, you think you were sold a load of goods that it's his son's guitar.
Yeah.
What if it's not his son's guitar? Where did he get that guitar? And you're just, like, skipping away with
your happy little guitar purchase and not worrying about it. Don't worry about all those knives on the wall.
That was so creepy. I actually laughed at that part.
Yeah. I thought the book was fine.
Yeah.
I like to read romance novels for the fact that, like, not that I don't have to think too hard, but you kind of know how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
How we get there, I think how we get there and how clear that road is, I think, is the mark of a good romance novelist, because some of them are really obvious and some of them are less so. This one was pretty obvious. Of all of the romance I have read, it was fine. I enjoyed it, as much as I have enjoyed many other books, but it wasn't the best. I'm reading one now, which I'll talk about at the end, which is, I've just started it and it's already so much better.
One thing I really liked was that oftentimes, when they paint the soon-to-be ex-wife or the ex-wife to be a villain, and it's like girl-on-girl competition, and there was none of that. I got to hear Kimmy's story. She wasn't a villain, because sometimes people's marriages just don't work.
Yeah.
And no one's really a bad person. They just...
I thought this book did a good job at showing what two different sorts of divorces can look like.
Yeah.
In that Josh's and Kimmy's was pretty amicable, and neither of them are the bad guy. It doesn't work out, whatever. Yeah. And then Liam and Layla's is the opposite, in that one of them, I think, is pretty clearly touted as the bad guy,
Cheater and thief.
Yes. So
and monster.
Yeah.
And monster. Like when he wants to reopen their divorce, you monster.
Yeah. Trying to sue her. It's like, oh my god. Yeah, that was
like, you can't take care of your own life, and so you're going to take every bit of money that she's got just to suit your ego,
right?
And because you're a child, you're a man child.
Yeah.
Liam,
I want to see if you guys felt this way, and maybe I was misperceiving it. So the chapters were titled with the point of view of the person it was going to be told from, but it slipped into the other people's state of mind in that same chapter.
It also was hard to keep track of what timeline we were in sometimes.
Yeah.
At the beginning, especially, because it's sort of told from the past and the future, and you sort of progress through the past to meet up with the present.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, it wasn't clear where we were. It should have had, like, dates, like timestamps or something.
Yeah.
So it was a little hard to keep track
of
all at some points. Yeah.
I was wondering if it was, like, something in the physical book we were missing, because I know sometimes there's been like innovative timelines where I had trouble tracking because I didn't have the physical book.
I could see that. Yeah, I didn't read it, so I don't know.
Well,
I'm glad to hear that you didn't like that either.
I read it on the Kindle as well as listening to it.
So you did see what the pages look like.
And so I got to see. But so they're having it a date, I think, super super helpful.
Or a year at least.
And that
because
wasn't
I'm
on
like,
the page.
Especially no, it wasn't. And I was like, it slowed the connection down in the story to me, because my brain had to stop and try to figure out where we were.
Yeah.
Like, wait, is this Liam now? Was this Liam then?
Yeah.
She's doing the guitar, but no, she already did the guitar,
and you're
and
not
now she's
entirely
back in
sure, because they haven't revealed everything about themselves. If she, like at the beginning, I was confused. Is she still in the band? Does she still play? Because they're jumping back and forth and they're talking about her on stage and stuff. I'm like, is she still? I thought she wasn't in. Okay, no, she's not in the band. Yeah. So it took some.
No,
figuring.
But then her fellow teachers went to the mic night, right?
But that was after she started playing
later
with
playing with Brian.
Yeah, the guitar store guy.
I think that the author did some really cool, like some things really well, like illustrating how friend groups evolve from teenage, which is essentially childhood, to adulthood, and how those things shift depending on what your circumstances are, and how you could, like, because now she's part of Brian's friend group.
Yes.
So I thought that was really kind of well done. I think that she dealt with the issues of young marriage and long marriage well.
I also like that she made a point to tell you, the point of the book isn't just that these two fell in love. The point of the book is that Layla re-finds herself and comes into her own, and at some point is even okay with the fact that they might not end up together, and she's fine being on her own again, which is, I think, the whole point that she was trying to get through, is that it's not a story about Liam and about Layla and Josh. It's a story about Layla becoming herself again, or finding herself again, I think. So I thought that was pretty well done.
Actually, I really appreciate that. I think I would have been disappointed if they had jumped into a marriage, because I thought she finally has a breath and a chance to develop herself and become a whole person. And I think if she had there's just a tendency to put herself aside for a relationship, then I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out that Susan's children were really Liam's children all along.
Oh, that would have been exciting too.
Honestly, I really thought so.
Well,
I totally thought so. The way in the coffee store, the way she was trying to scoot her children like she was guilty.
Well, because at some point around there, I was like, oh, okay, he kept on with Suzanne the whole time. So I was like, is he maintaining two families?
He's got two families.
But Suzanne would never, I've dismissed that pretty swiftly, because Suzanne was not as undeveloped of a character as she is. She still wants to be a centerpiece. So I don't think she'd be the woman on the sly, not having the big audacious wedding.
Okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked for book club questions. There aren't any specifically for this book, but I found a helpful resource from Oprah.
Oprah.
And she has a list of book club questions for various genres, which I thought was interesting. Cool. So I have a couple general book club questions, but also general romance novel questions. The first one is, did you like the, quote, heat level of this book? Because romance spans a large genre as far as, how smutty of a book do you want to read?
Yeah, I think this was reasonable.
Yeah, it was hardly much at all. There were some touches of it that here and there, but it wasn't. It was one of the least sexy romance novels I've ever read.
Yeah. Those Christmas ones that I listened to were probably about this level.
Yeah.
Just got to their first kiss kind of level. So this went further.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was no Outlander.
No. I've definitely read others that are more so than this. But when I was looking for a romance novel to pick for my book club pick, my search criteria was clean-ish or not too smutty romance novels, just because I don't want to end up picking something and then feel like, oh my god, I can't believe I recommended this to somebody.
There's a couple books I've read where it's if you want to tell somebody that they should read this book, then you're admitting
that I've also read this and I enjoyed it. I recommended a romance novel to a customer because I really liked the author, and it was a series of them. And of all of them, this one that I was reading, I was like, I'm reading this one. It's good. And then I was like, this is the dirtiest of all of them. So I have to go back and be like, I don't know if I recommend it anymore. I don't want you to judge me.
I guess I listen. Because I say that, what is the other romance that I have? True Blood is way...
Oh, yeah.
It's right up next to Outlander.
Yeah.
Not quite, because...
It's not like 50 Shades or anything, but...
Which, oh my god, that's just bad. Bad writing.
I never read it.
I read it out, I can't think of the word, a small portion of it.
Oh, uh-huh.
And it was awful.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be.
A third grader wrote it and was still waiting to get it proofed.
Yeah.
Did I talk about Nightmare Alley last time?
Yes.
Yeah. That's right up there with the, don't read this. This is not a read.
I don't recommend this.
Well, you wouldn't recommend it. You just want to be
as
careful
a film
who you
noir,
recommend
but
it to.
considering when it was written, it's up there with 50 Shades, I guess. I don't know. I've never read 50 Shades, just as,
We wouldn't judge you if you had. I don't care.
Yeah.
The second question I have is, was the couple's connection believable to you? And if so, at what point did they seem to click? Did they seem like two people that would have gone together?
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty believable.
Yeah, they're both too down to earth.
One review I read of this book, which is where I got the synopsis from. I'll have to see if I can chase down where it's from. But one of the problems that reviewer had with the novel is how unbelievable she thought Layla and Liam's relationship was. That Layla seemed like the sort of person that wouldn't have gone with that for so long. But I think that the point is that she would have, because she didn't know that she was stronger than that at the time.
Yeah, I think it's representative of where so many people find themselves.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, how old was she when she and Liam?
Mid-20s.
Yeah.
Because she was 23 when they started dating, I think. So...
Yeah, they were married for 10 years, and I think they were in their mid-30s, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, it there's a lot of growth that happens.
Yeah,
you know.
You learn a whole lot about yourself in those years, so... I didn't necessarily have a problem with that, but yeah, I thought that the two of them seemed like they would, go together well. The next question is, what do you think happens to the leads after the movie, the book is over? Like, what do you want for them?
What do I want for them?
Yeah.
More quiet Sunday afternoons doing puzzles and drinking wine.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Sitting on the porch and with their doggy. Oh,
her little house sounded so nice.
I know, with her little
he got a new dog.
That's true, he did get a new dog. Her basement studio and everything. So yeah, I think it ended well enough that I wasn't like, but I want to know what happens. I'm like, I'm happy with what happens,
Like
I don't expect them to get married, but...
It had that happily ever after contented feeling.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think we already touched on this a little bit, or at least you did, Anne. What do you think of the romance's pacing?
Slow.
Yeah. It wasn't a long book, but it was...
It wasn't short either, though, really.
No, it wasn't. I listened to it on my commute back and forth, and it was like a solid week and a half of there and backs, which I enjoy a book for that because, if you're driving, you're also, sort of paying attention to, you should be paying attention to other things as you're going, but it wasn't anything too complicated that I felt like I was missing out on anything, because sometimes some of the, like, heavier or more plot-heavy books that we have read, or I have read, I find that I get to wherever I'm going, and I'm like, wait, how did I get here? Or how did we get here in the book? I'm like, I don't remember what happened to get me here. But,
autopilot when you're reading.
Exactly, or just spacing out.
Yeah. For the pacing, I thought it was realistic. I liked it because they're getting to... It's slow in the beginning, like when you get to know each other.
Not the pace of their relationship. That was fine.
Yeah.
I just, like...
I liked the time that she took developing the story from different viewpoints.
Yeah.
I liked hearing Kimmy's point of view, what happened in Kimmy's life, even though she's the original woman, right? She's the wife.
I did love the Alanis Morissette reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That she thinks of isn't it ironic, meeting the man of your dreams and then meeting his lovely wife.
Yep.
And then she finds out that they're separated.
Yeah. But I like it wasn't just him and her, that they're the people around them, because they are also their community around them to a certain extent. So I thought I liked the pace because I got more of the story. It was a little richer, a little more to it than just he met her, she likes him, they kiss and then take off.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it, but I think that also is how a lot of books in this genre tend to go. It's sort of like, what are you listening for, But of all, like I said, of all of the romance novels I have read, it isn't the most action-packed.
No.
But I don't
know that I was looking for action. Like, of any sort. I don't know. Like, it was like, and today is Monday, and we lived Monday, and tomorrow is Tuesday, and now I'm living Tuesday, and Tuesday is Tuesday. Like, that's what the narrative felt like to me. These are the days of the week.
I'm just going to go through these questions. There's 7 of them. I think some of these next couple are kind of dumb, but they could be funny.
Let's do it anyway.
Would you fall for either of these 2 leads? Or, I guess I'll open it up. Who in the book who is your favorite character, I guess I'll say. Like, who would you like to know more about, maybe?
Sasha. I liked the characters, but I don't think I had a favorite.
I was a little disappointed that halfway through the book, I realized that we don't really know a whole lot about Layla, and we didn't really hear anything about her, like, history, her upbringing, her family, her childhood. Like, we got a lot of that from Josh and even Kimmy, but we didn't. I felt like we didn't really know a whole lot about her as a person.
She has supportive parents.
Yeah,
and I think she has a couple siblings, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But Josh has 4 brothers.
Yep.
He's the youngest. He has loving parents, loving supporting parents.
Yeah, they've all got sisters-in-laws and
6 nieces and nephews, whatever combination, because there's 7 grandchildren. Yep. We know that Kimmy was just her
mom. I didn't do any of that math. I just skimmed over it because in my mind that's blah, 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 blah. Get back to the romance.
But we know a lot about Josh's family and very little about our heroine.
Yeah, it was interesting that the book focused so much on Layla's, it's about her. I felt like even though it's told from both of their perspectives, she's the one that has more growth, character development. For there not to be any sort of background about her, I found was a little disappointing.
I was also hoping that her friend, when they were like trying to interpret his text when she first dog sits, and like something, like he asked if she was going to the movies with a boyfriend or not, and what did he do with that information? Da, da, da. Why did the friend never point out, like, why don't you ask him out?
Right.
Like, what century are we living in?
Yeah, that is true. Question number 6 says, did this book melt your heart? Did it make you believe in love again? I'm going to say no. But I did not believe in love.
You're right. I mean, I liked that these people found love. Yeah.
Yeah. I have read other books that I have been more touched by and been like, oh, I'm so happy at the end. Whereas this, I knew it was going to happen. I was like, that's good. Yep. Okay, great. I'm happy for you.
Tidy bow.
Yep.
Pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it did not melt.
No, I don't think so either. If it was part of a series, did this book compel you enough to read the next one?
Well, I'm glad it's not a series.
I would say no.
Yeah.
But would you read more from the author?
No.
She has some other
she has others.
best-selling, I didn't look at what it was, but no, I'm not compelled to read more by her because there's so much other out there that I'm like, I'm fine.
I mean, I've come to the, I've grown enough to admit that I do like this genre, but I'm not interested in reading more from this.
No, I don't feel like I am either. Unless some person I knew and trusted their taste was like, no, it was really good, you should read it. I'm not going to look back for more of it because it was fine.
Yep.
That's kind of the questions I have as far as like romance specific.
Okay, greatest moment in the book then, maybe.
Yeah, so the first general question I have, what was your favorite part of the book? Do you have an answer?
No, I just thought that'd be a good question.
Okay, I thought you were like prompting because you had something exciting to talk about.
Maybe I like the knife house best.
Yeah, I like the knife house. I liked, I kind of wish
I also like the puzzle. When they were working on the puzzle together, I thought, what a, like, good juxtaposition of how he felt so ignored. Mm-hmm. And then this, like, lovely, intimate, simple thing to do together.
Yeah, that was nice. I liked when, I liked Layla and Brian's relationship in that they seemed like they were really good friends. Yes. I liked when, one of my favorite parts that made me laugh was when she tells him, like, I was going to ask you out before I realized you were a fiance. He's like, do you know how many, like, how long I am going to brag about this? He was, like, so excited. I liked that part.
I laughed out loud at that.
Yeah. What was your, I guess maybe we already talked about what your least favorite part of the book was, or least favorite thing about the book.
Well, let's see, is there a particular part I really, like, because there's some things that annoyed me, other than, like, writing style and etc. Like, it's so specific, like, it's so specifically of its time. And she used a lot of cultural references, like, oh, my music students love to sing Frozen.
Yes.
You want to sing Frozen with me?
Yeah, that was a little on the nose.
Yeah.
It's not that I didn't see it well, there's two things that sort of pop up at the end as like your conflict, right? So Liam serves her papers and tries to sue her for hiding money from him, right?
And then she burns his face off.
But nothing really becomes of that. Yeah. I was sort of waiting for something to happen, but at the end of the novel, it was just like, he backed down. That's it. And it was like, okay.
Yeah, well, that thread really wasn't sewn up very well.
I don't think it was.
Well, it wasn't resolved.
I think it resolved itself, like within the time it happened.
Yeah.
So it was
Let's just say not very satisfactorily.
Well, he served the papers. The lawyer said, don't do anything. Mm-hmm. She immediately ignores that. And she runs over to where he is and humiliates him and stands up for herself. So that was like handled in the moment.
I guess so. I just was kind of waiting for it to then be resolved.
Yeah.
With one sentence, it was a little dissatisfying.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree.
Okay. And then with Kimmy and her coming back and saying, I made a terrible mistake and I want to be married to you after all. I saw coming from 10 miles away.
Yeah. The moment she's making cookies for him. Come on.
At their pet shop.
Or even before that, when he's like, he's so worried because it's been so long before he's gotten the papers and his brothers are like, oh, that's bad news. It's like, what if she actually just doesn't know if that's what she wants, which is exactly what.
Meantime, he's thinking that she's going to do something vindictive.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, why didn't he just ask her? Why did he wait so long?
Well, when your marriage of 20 years falls apart, it might have something to do with some communication issue.
Yeah, and I could see not wanting to talk to that person for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Did reading this book impact your mood? Did it leave you in a good mood?
No.
Okay.
No,
because it touched on a lot of anxiety things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, am I paying enough attention to my husband?
Yeah.
I do the things that Josh is talking about all the time.
Yeah.
Man.
I can see that too.
Kevin and I are hitting 15 years. Not as long as Kimmy and Josh, but yeah, it touched on a lot of like
I might have had a bad dream in which I was angry at my husband and I woke up and wanted to hit him, but restrained because I knew it was a dream from the book I was reading and not reality.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So no, it did not.
It totally. I was like, I might have had a few times where I'm like, jerk.
Yeah. I didn't really intend to pick a book that was so heavily about divorce because I had sort of a similar, feeling that you did where it was like, oh, but I can sort of relate to these things.
Yeah.
But obviously
it's
exaggerated. But
as an object lesson of like, well, if this is making me feel self-conscious, like when you're in trouble for something that you did wrong, then maybe I should be conscientious.
Then maybe let's unpack that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I don't want to unpack it. I just want to change my behavior.
Just try and do better,
Are you trying to
no.
trigger my anxiety as well?
No. For me.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so this book did not leave me in a good mood. I saw it as a cautionary tale.
One thing that I wish that somebody... I can't say this because I didn't do any homework to see if anybody had done this. I want somebody to make a playlist of all of the music and references that are mentioned in the book, so I could have listened to it at the same time. Yeah, I'm like, that would have been cool. But as I say that, I did literally looking to see if that existed. Yeah. But it did make me want to listen to music, so I like that.
Actually, it did. It reminded me, like, I had some very stressful times in the last 2 weeks at work, and I was like, well, you do have resources for this. Mm-hmm. So I put on the Jack Johnson.
There you go.
And then I couldn't hear the people that were annoying me anymore.
Love it. That's pretty good.
That's instant medicine for me.
This is like our second book about involving a woman who plays music. Mm-hmm. And I've liked it just as much.
Oh, no, I like the other one way better.
Yeah.
What was that one?
Daisy something.
Daisy Jones and the Six was much better. I was kind of hoping when I picked this, it was going to be sort of like that, but more romancy. Mm-hmm. I liked all the musical references, and I like the, I liked that aspect of it.
Well, Josh and Kimmy are exactly my age, so that was both like I felt connected to them, and I felt irritated by them for the same reason.
Speaking, just a quick blurb. So, someone I know was reading recently Daisy Jones and the Six, and I said, We read that in our podcast, and she goes, and didn't you want to look her up? I go, I totally looked her up. So I wanted to look up this gal.
Yeah.
I always wanted to go, no, are these real people? Are these based on...
I at least wanted to hear their songs that they wrote. Like, I'd like to be able to look up and, like, listen to it, but...
Yeah.
I don't think the author has a future in lyricism or...
Because of her song at the end?
Yeah. I was like, yeah, okay. Like, but maybe it just doesn't translate, because if you read a song monotonely, any song, it could sound pretty cheesy, but maybe it translates better into music. I don't know.
Maybe.
I just figured it was like poetry.
Yeah.
But, and I don't get poetry very well.
Well, songwriting isn't... Because, like, if you get poets philosophizing and songwriters philosophizing on this, they get compared all the time, but they are very different writing mediums.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're so very similar. And that was just like, again, like a third grader's poem.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't...
But she's not a writer, and this was a breakthrough for her. So
she's always said she's not a writer.
Yeah, it did,
that's true.
Just re-emphasize her blossoming into herself.
I will say... Oh, go ahead.
Think about it. It's like she was a new writer, like when we were new knitters. Maybe our early stitches were not what they are today.
I'm even cringing in my, like, photo slides because I'm going way back for certain things.
To try to find the oldest work in progress.
Well, I'm posting on my own account too, so I have to decide what I'm going to share for that other request, because I have to share on my account. So I'm still thinking on it. But yeah, it's cringy.
Oh, I do double.
It's very cringy. Yeah. And that's only like going pretty. I mean, that's fair recent history.
Yeah, that's true. Their other song, was it Grateful or whatever? Yeah. Like their hit that was supposed to be so catchy. Mm-hmm. We also heard the lyrics to that too, which was I would say on par.
A little better.
Maybe.
A little better story.
I wish those songs actually existed.
It's the same author writing it. Come on.
Fair enough.
Yes. No, we understand.
She may credit it to different characters, but it's the same author writing the lyrics.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot else because I don't know what else there is really to talk about with this book. Specifically because it was what it was. I think we all can agree it was fine. Yeah. Enjoyed it enough to finish it. And if I were reading it on my own, I would have finished it. Yeah. There's some that I give up on. It was fine. But I do want to talk a tiny bit about romance as a genre. Yes. Because I was doing a little bit of research about it. I found this article from Vulture by Jamie Green from 2019. Said why you should be reading romance novels, which I highly recommend reading this article. I think it was great, but I want to read a little synopsis of it. So this was written 3 years ago, but for Valentine's Day, so it's appropriate for our timing here. It's a little past Valentine's Day now, but still. It says Valentine's Day at its best is an excuse to do what you want, go on a fancy date, spend all night having sex, buy a bunch of stale chocolate and eat it alone in the bath. Though it's hardly the only time of year to celebrate romance novels, I personally find romance better for lazy summer days. It's our excuse for it, so here we are. I don't want to spend too much time on romance's bad reputation, which is born of misogyny, snobbishness, and bias against small paperbacks, misogyny, and a lack of appreciation for delightfully cheesy book covers.
Was misogyny in there twice?
It is.
Because it's really important.
Well, I mean, it is.
But you get that point.
Yeah. But if you're thinking bad reputation is right and fairly earned, then please keep reading, because if that's what you think, odds are you haven't read any romance, at least not recently. And February 14th is my excuse to tell you how much you're missing out on and why you should consider a change of heart. It says, sad and challenging books have their place in the world, but there's plenty of room on your bookshelves. Romance is written to be enjoyed. Romance is a genre overwhelmingly written by and for women, where women's desires, experiences, and rich inner lives are given value and a center stage. Mm-hmm. It is fun, smart, savvy, increasingly inclusive, and a guaranteed good time. So she goes on to, they go on to talk about more and more about some recommendations. But also I have another passage highlighted that says, women have historically been excluded from the canon, and that carries on through publishing today. Women's voices, stories, and as authors and characters have been systematically devalued in literature. We see how a man's thinly veiled autobiographical musings are hailed as revolutionary, but a women's are dismissed. women's are dismissed. How male authors write women is only to serve their male characters' journeys and are lauded for the bare minimum beyond that. How sex in literary fiction is rarely actually fun, and if it is, then someone must pay the price. Romance is full of women's voices and women's stories. There are male and non-binary authors too, and not all romances pair a man and a woman, but romance authorship may be the arena least dominated by straight men in the entire world. But wait, you say, my straw man might say, romance reduces women's lives to love stories. That's not empowering. That's practically telling them to get back in the kitchen. I promise you, romance makes no such reductions. These books show women finding love, sure, but even the thinnest hypothetical opponent that I've conjured up to make my point wouldn't object to that being a part of a person's life, right? And while women in romance are falling in love, they're also coming more fully into themselves, discovering strength and independence, or vulnerability and honesty, or the bravery to stand up to their parents, or fight a war, or be proud of who they are. And almost more important than these women falling in love is being fallen in love with. For being strong, independent, vulnerable, honest, brave, smart, funny, and stubborn. Those are stories about women that I think are extremely worth reading. This is a much longer article than just that, but again, I would recommend, if you want to know more, that you could read this. Again, it's from vulture.com. I thought that was pretty well.
That's a really.
I thought it really related well to this one too, that not only is it about a woman falling in love, but it's a woman's story written by a woman. And I think, at least I consciously, when choosing novels for our book club and for myself to read personally, I tend to prefer to read books written by women. That's not exclusive. I read a lot of different things, and I don't know if every one that I've chosen for book club, it has been written by a woman, but that's something I honestly try to do. Because I think, like she says, so many books and novels and everything over time, all of those classics that you're forced to read in high school, like none of the ones on that reading list that I can think of were written by women, at least from my high school. So, I thought that was interesting to see someone else's take on it. And the book that I am reading now, because I was missing out on, we can use this as our transition into what else are you reading. I was kind of missing after this ended. I enjoyed, listening to a fun, easy romance novel, driving back and forth to work. The book I'm reading now is I think, because we haven't really gotten to the they get together part, but it's a queer romance novel, which I think I've read maybe one before. Yeah. That's a genre of the romance canon that I have not really touched on before. I think I can't remember if I've read another one. I think I have, but this is two women, and so far I am thoroughly enjoying it just as much as any other romance novel I've read. I relate to it less being a straight woman, but it's still, I'm still enjoying it.
Your point of view, right?
Right. So I like the idea of
shared romance.
The romance genre in general being more and more inclusive. Yeah. Because I've also read, which is a genre I really like, or an author I really like, is Jasmine Guillory. And she writes a lot of people of color and also, not necessarily straight-sized people. And I read there were a couple I read last summer where the character was specifically a fat woman. And I enjoyed those too. So those more inclusive stories, I think, are becoming more readily available, and I've enjoyed every single one that I have read. So,
The Starless Sea is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah. I don't know that one.
It's the second book by Erin Morgenstern.
I didn't read that. That was the one book club that I didn't read.
But the Night Circus is it's fantasy and Harry Potter-esque.
Yeah.
But it's definitely romance.
I didn't.
Come back to it, Kaity.
I read
come back to
the first quarter of it, or maybe not even that much. But I could see myself actually reading it.
It was a little disconcerting because it is read by the same reader as Harry Potter, and it's these kids going to learning magic. So,
okay.
So it was a little confusing to my brain a little bit until you get into it and everything is distinct.
So do you remember that the book that had that there was more bodies in it?
More bodies.
I don't know. They had fat people in it.
Oh, yes. One of them was more of a teen book, which was I read it over one weekend when we were camping. It was called Fat Chance. Oh, I have to Google it. I'll look it up. It was cute. It was it was a little annoying because I can't really relate to the children.
Yeah.
Fat Chance Charlie Vega by Crystal Maldonado. It was cute.
Crystal Maldonado is the author.
Yes.
So, okay.
The other one is called, I'm gonna have to Google it. It was like, this girl gets picked to be on like The Bachelor. It's not The Bachelor, but it's whatever in this universe is called, and she's the first like larger person to be on the show, and it's about her experience with it, which was actually very cute, and I can't remember the name of it. So if you talk about your recommendations, I'll do the research to see what that book was called, because I can't remember. So anybody else reading anything good lately?
I'm still working on the book I was talking about last time, which is Britt Marie was here. I really like it though, so I'm going to finish it for sure. I strongly recommend all Frederick Bachman. You will cry. I'm not at the crying point on Britt Marie yet. Britt Marie is an insight into all of those people who seem so abrasive. And when you're in her mind, she is not trying to be abrasive at all. She's really always trying to be nice, but she just doesn't know how. Or how other people do it. And there's good reason behind it. And then I'm going to listen to kind of a downer book, but this is a PSA that I think maybe everybody should listen to. So it's sort of like homework for my other job. It was on the Science Friday does a book club, and they were talking to this author last Friday, and the book is called The Grieving Brain. And it's really interesting about how, like, it's some scientific study of the brain and how, like, things that look like depression and treating grieving like depression is not a good idea, because that's not what your brain is doing. So it's gonna, I think that's going to be really interesting.
The book I was thinking of is called One to Watch by Kate Stamen London, which was
One to Watch.
One to Watch.
One to Watch. Okay.
Karin?
I am a super fan of N.K. Jemisin. And she came out with this book in 2018. I'd finished a few books, and I was looking for something else, and it came up as a recommended by thing, and it's called How Long Till Black Future Month. And
well, that's cool.
And I've heard that phrase actually talked a lot about this year, but really it's a bunch of short stories, and I really appreciated like her introduction, because like we swatch, as a designer, I swatch and I do mini versions of my designs to see if all the different elements. And her short stories are kind of like her swatching for the bigger stories.
Oh, that's cool.
I like that. Yeah.
Where it's like, so sometimes like from some of her other books, I'm like, oh, I know this is a short story, and it's not exactly like
but you can kind of relate
what the other story is, but it's what the city we became is one book that came out of this.
That's cool.
This written swatch.
Oh, that's really
she doesn't call it that way, but that's how I think about it.
Yeah.
But it's really, and she talks about a lot. Some of these are little short stories have come out of her time as an author. When she started, you rarely saw Black people as authors, and Black women even more rare, and Black queer women almost never.
Yeah.
And so her ability to, and at first what she was writing was not really what she wanted to write, just to get herself in the door. So it's really enjoyable, because it's nice, because some of them are like it's nice to read a book of just short stories. It's like some of them get like, wow, there's a lot of tangledness, but I know that I can stick with it because it's a short story. Well, it's not a whole book worth. It's like
an author who can do a short story and a long form.
Yeah,
because those are
two different
painting
talents.
with watercolors and oils.
and she even talks
related, but real different.
And she even talks about that, because she never wanted to do the short story essay thing, because it is a totally different mindset than the other. But she uses it as a jumping off point. Yeah. To then further develop characters, and some short stories will never, like swatches. Some swatches, some patterns, it's just never going to happen.
Great idea, but that's all the further it went.
So that was called How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin.
Well, if you're getting into short stories, a real treat for your ears is I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. LeVar Burton has a podcast where he reads you a short story.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It's wonderful. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's the best thing in the world. I think there's 5 years of them.
Oh gosh.
And he takes you on a broad journey of authors of color, just fantastic things I would have never exposed myself to.
LeVar Burton reads.
It's so good, guys.
They did. I saw this YouTube. I don't know if it was YouTube or what it was. It looked like it was for the Trevor Noah show. Anyway, where he talks about reading banned books,
which is the Daily Show. You were halfway
there. Okay,
it
was on the Daily Show. Anyway,
Trevor Daily,
it was really fun. He's like, wait a minute. You can't read this one. He goes. He talks about this book. This is a book about penguins. They're animals, and it's on the banned list because they're too daddy. Mm-hmm. They're two boy penguins. They adopted. There's no sex in this book, and it's still banned.
I want to share this here.
I love what he had to say.
Either Kevin and I are going to do this, or we're not going to do this. But it's such a good idea and so grassroots and doable. We were having breakfast out last weekend, and he said, we were talking about banning books and there's so many insane laws coming in for teachers, and one state wants them to submit their lesson plans 1 year in advance.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
That's crazy.
So that aside, we were talking about that kind of insane attack on attaching politics to education and all the banned books. And he's like, if I won the lottery, I would love to have someone build tiny libraries and stick them all over the country in these places that they are banning books insanely and fill them with those banned books.
Yeah.
So people have a resource.
Why does it have to be something when you win $1 million?
Yeah.
Yeah. Communities can come and choose to do it themselves.
We could build a
tiny
library and fill it with banned books.
That's true.
Now, as soon as I said, let's put it in our front yard, Kevin backed off. And I have a neighbor across the street that flies an FJB flag. And I have a neighbor next door to me who flies a Trump flag. So he is worried about the repercussions of it.
You gotta consider your safety.
But, if you don't,
that's pretty cool.
If you don't stand up. So then I was talking about this a little more. Somebody was saying, well, you don't necessarily have to put it in your yard, but you could take it upon yourself to stock other people's tiny libraries with the sprinkling of those books.
Yeah.
So that might be where I start.
That's cool.
But it's just an idea. If you've ever thought about putting up a tiny library in your yard, Kevin recommends putting a Nest camera on it.
Yeah. A doorbell or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that is something I'm really excited about.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I do too.
I don't know when we'll get to it. But I was like, Kevin, we have enough, we have some lumber in our front yard. We could build probably 4. Let's get 4 families into this. And then he's like, okay.
Let's calm down a little bit.
Yeah. I was like, you told your manic wife a really great idea.
I want to share a, not a book that I'm reading, but I found on TikTok, they also post the same on Instagram. Schuler Books, SCHULER, is a bookstore in Michigan. So, I mean, why am I following them? But they make really good video content, and all of the people that work at the store seem very, very cute and sweet. But that's how I've gotten recommendations for books where it's tell me your favorite romance novel, or what's your favorite book that you read this year, or whatever. And their TikToks are very cute, and I followed them. And then, like I said, they're also on Instagram, but great for book content and recommendations. And I want to go there just to meet all these happy, friendly people. Book. So
that would be fun. Go to Michigan.
I don't have any other reason to go to Michigan, but if I did, I want to go to
They probably have
books.
really great cheese.
Oh, probably.
They do. Yeah, I've had cheese curds in Michigan.
There you go.
I just think California cheese lacks, but I already talked about that before.
Have you heard the commercial? It's the cheese.
They're happy cows.
Yeah.
It's a lie. Happy cows do not get fed dry grass.
It's not good to feed ruminators, only grass. Right? So is it time for my book? You have a drop stitch. You have a drop stitch.
Where?
Right here.
Oh my god.
Thank you.
Karen's doing some, I think, double
knit.
She's setting up a double knit, and one of her colors just jumped ship. Okay.
Yeah, what are we reading?
So, next book, Complete Shift.
Yeah. Oh, it's not. It's just a loop.
Okay.
But still. Woo!
I'm here to support you, whether or not it was a false alarm. Okay, this is a book that one of our members just finished and brought to the table, and I was like, I'm picking book this week. Give me that book. It's called The Sanatorium by Sarah Pearse.
Okay.
It is an audiobook. It's reaching into the longer. It's 11 hours.
That's fine.
But as you can see the book size. It's not too bad. I bet you could speed. I bet it's a slow reader.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a 300
1.2 speed or 1.3 speed.
Yeah. It's a 392 page book. It's published by Penguin, so we can get our snob back on.
Nice.
On the cover, but wait, the quote on the cover is from People magazine. So it's The Shining, but with a full house.
Oh.
You won't want to leave until you can't. The newly renovated hotel Les Sommets, a former sanatorium high in the Swiss Alps, has long been plagued by dark rumors. When Detective Ellen Warner's estranged brother Isaac and his fiancée Laure invite her to celebrate their engagement at the hotel, Ellen reluctantly accepts. Arriving in the midst of a threatening storm, Ellen immediately feels on edge. And when Laure suddenly vanishes, Ellen must trust her instincts if they hope to find her. When the snow cuts off all access to Les Sommets, the remaining guests start to panic. Then another woman disappears, and she's the only person who could have warned them of just how much danger they are all in.
Ooh,
it's the Hotel California, but in the Alps.
Yeah. It's a Reese book club, which I think we've read.
We've done well with those before, yeah.
She chooses pretty good. It's available on Audible.
Nice.
I have a physical book, which I like when it's my choice.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to roll.
Okay, cool. The Sanatorium by Sarah Pearse.
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 No,
Pearse.
Yeah,
Said it right.
Pearse.
Pearse.
Like pear.
Pearse.
Got it.
Sarah with an H. It looks good, and I think you can get it at Costco.
That does look like a Costco
sticker on it.
Nice.
It's very reasonably priced. My price was best. Free.
Yeah, I love free.
Free 99 is always good.
I'm gonna have to claim it on Cloud Library before anybody else does.
So good times, guys.
Cool. Well, we'll see you next month for The Sanatorium. It sounds very spooky. I'm excited.
I love The Shining.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.